Business geared today. It might lead to spirituality, but as usual, I'm free form. I speak what's on my mind. Some of this to some people might be common knowledge, some of it may not. So I'm trying my best not to assume things. So that's where I go for here. This is, we're going to start off with developing a business. And what's really important, why a lot of people are confused and things of that nature, is finding out your why in business. Why do you do this? And this is where I want to have people look at experiences like in a very holistic way, not right or wrong. You have like certain level of business owners or multi-level marketing or whatever the hell. They'd be like, oh, you have a job, you suck, blah blah blah. One person is, and one thing I found out about people in the world is that you cannot be one dimensional. I mean, even your television has two dimensionals. It has two dimension reality, same thing in this form. There's at least two dimensions. So actually, you're a multi-dimensional being, and you're thinking about things in a 1D, not even two-dimensional space. And you have to think about stuff more than that, be open and more objective, because through every experience you learn something. So you have to get out this good or bad. I should have a job to do everything, every place that you've been. If you absorb it fully, you can really be a master of what you're doing. So I'm gonna say this to say this: multi-level marketing. I did that for a while. It didn't quite work out for me because the level of work that I was putting into it. Like I said, for me, everyone's different. For me, I could have built an empire business at that level with um, the level employees under me. I felt like I should have been making a lot more than I did. So that's why I left that. To me, the level of effort that I was putting into it, and then for the profit in comparison, was not, didn't meet its goals or my expectations in my mind for the level that I was doing. So I was like, okay, I could be doing more in a traditional business. And yes, certain things are harder. Yes, I have to build my own brand. Yes, I have to do design and the marketing for it. But still, either way, no matter what, you still have to build an audience in a business, no matter what you're doing. So, to me, even though that had a brand, it had other things established, it still was it was essentially, in my opinion, working for someone else but harder. So it still was the same thing. So I'd rather take that and just build my own complete corporate entity and collaborate with other people when it comes to those entities and corporations. So I like it doing it better that way. So that's why I'm not doing ML in it again. But anyway, one thing, like I said, I'm very open-minded and receptive, and I learn a lot from every experience that I go through. So I don't take. So I learned definitely a lot about teams and teams building. And one thing that was important was establishing your why. Like, why do you do this? Why do you want to own a business? Why? That is very important because building a business is like a seed. It's nothing like it may be perceived on television and things of that nature. A seed, it takes time to nurture and mature and grow. And if you don't know why you're doing it and you don't have a true passion behind it, you're gonna fail because it's not a microwave thing. It might not be a 30-day thing. It might not be a year thing. It might be 4 or 5, maybe 10 years before you're successful at it, or even at a level to where that can be your own sustainable income. But you have to think about in comparison to everyone else's plan, which is 40, 50 years working for somewhere else at a place miserable that you hate. At least you could be worn out, tired from at least efforts of your own. A true transition really changed for me when I was working at a job, a gigantic tech company, actually it's huge. And you probably have a computer from them, so I'm not gonna. But when I got fired there, I was just very surprised because I was working to the point where I got sick, and I went home one day and got sick, and then the next day I was so that kind of blew my mind. But from there, I think something clicked in me and changed. Or is about balance. So I'm not saying quit a certain job or something, but you have to be. I just cannot put all my, what can I say? I cannot put all my insurance or my stability on someone else can cut out 100% of my wealth just like that. So that's why it's always about balance. But again, I'm not saying quit your job. I'm thinking about from experience in my life, which was a spiritual experience. A lot of things came that were unexpected and not even calculated because I'm a very calculated person. So I like to do things in advance. So, but there were so many events that it was almost impossible to calculate. So that's why that meant my transition was go to an entire new direction. So I mean, just from again, like I said, I'm a spiritual person, so I believe in higher beings and things of that nature. Knowing who I am and them knowing me, everything that I planned had to go in disarray, even in my strategies to be like, oh, you need to jump into an entire new realm because you just pretty much bullheaded and stubborn, and we're gonna have to rip all of this apart for you to go in this direction, and which it did. It was quite an incredible storm that I went through, or several like storms I went through last year, but which is amazing. Was not definitely built like a lot stronger build up because I wasn't like when I was younger, probably before I came to California. When I at that level of stress, I was like I remember I was very depressed and suicidal. I did not get there. I got sad at one point, but I didn't never got to that level because I've learned so much and so much life. So my spiritual strength is just actually amazing through life and observing patterns. So anyway, I say all that to say this that a lot of multi-level marketing companies, at least one of the ones I was a part of, they made a big focus on the why. So why am I doing this? Okay, I'm doing this so I'm to be working 40 years of life and that someone can take away like that, which is true, or I'm not working for something that, you know, another thing you have to realize, you don't even have the option anymore. 40 or 50 years at a company, I mean, unless you're at a government job, is really not realistic, and that's not the way things are going. If a business in which they're not wrong to, you can't really get mad at technology. If a business could run efficiently with 4 or 5 people being $1 billion corporation, and before, like I said, Coca-Cola had to have 20,000, 30, they're going to run with 4 or 5 people at $1 billion corporation because of technology, and you just have to kind of get used to that wave. So you have to kind of think in those terms and think kind of like even in the Bible, think about when you have a lot, you should be saving and thinking about there's ups and there's droughts. Like I said, they always show you things in nature, but we've been kind of so outside of nature, watching TV, watching things that are like foolish and not really being responded to things. So like the 2008, 2009 were really bad economic downturns. This can possibly be at least a new wave. If you're not ready, if you're stuck in old ideals, you're gonna go way down here. Like I said, unless you're at something that probably like a government job or something, you're where you are is kind of fickle. You can go in or out. You could be replaced by a machine. There will be like a certain level of employees they have. But you instead of fighting the title and the wave of technology, you should just accept it and be adaptive. This is really going to be a realm for creatives and adaptive people because at the end of the day, technology cannot replace a creative thinker. So you have to be really creative. Also, other ways to make money. So I'm a naturalist. So I'm speaking of this. I was just going long-winded to get like go into things that you're very passionate about and develop those. Now, in the beginning, to make money, you might not start off doing something you're extremely passionate about. You have to get to that point. But start off at a service, or especially if like where the economy is, a lot of people don't have enough money. So do service and do shit people don't want to do. Like people will pay you a lot for stuff that they don't want to do. So look at that. Look at your market. Look at your surrounding areas. Look at okay, this is not being done, but it needs to be done. Or what is a difficult problem that I can solve? And those are ways that even within your own company or within whatever businesses that you're trying to really take time to research, observe, and study the market. But speak of that, like I said, to be a creative person, people have to observe a little bit more. People just kind of jump into this. I've done an analogy a while about starting something brand new. And one of my spiritual teachers, like I said, they're one of the only people that really enlightened me, 13 Sons as well as Teal Swan, because a lot of people are just kind of they stay on mundane subjects and don't really talk about anything that kind of advances. At least for me, maybe I'm pretty advanced when it comes to some of these realms. But he said same thing about jumping in the water. You have to test the water first. You could jump into something, especially businesses. So what? It's like very vast and just get jump in there and say it's water and it's freezing cold. You have hypothermia and die. Test, and when you test the market balance and observe. That's why I am not one to say like these people are crazy, to be like, okay, quit their job, or to make a complete judgment on anything. Like I said, you have to be objective. Some of these people be like, oh, quit your job. Yeah, they're single. You know, they don't have no kids, or they don't have any type of responsibility. So it's great for them, but you cannot speak to a person that's maybe 40 with 3 kids and a house and the mortgage the same way you speak to like an 18-year-old, something like that. I don't understand. Some people are supposed to be business marketing, but like you couldn't, because you have no soft skills and you don't know how to read people. If you really want to be successful, besides just a fake facade, you have to be a master of reading people and personality types, and everybody's personality is different, and you have to speak to that person where their needs are if you really want to make a difference and an impact in their life in a positive way. And that's what I'm about, making an impact in life in a positive way. So like, I'm not going to speak to someone, I'm not going to speak to an 18-year-old or someone who might have been through dramatic conditions the same way I speak to a 40-year-old or a 50-year-old want to make a transition. Because I'm very, like I said, I'm different. I'm open. I don't think there's an age or anything. If you discover who you are, then jump into it. And I don't mean like jump to the point where you don't know what you're doing, hypothermia, but I mean jump and take that leap, take a chance. If you discover, I don't believe in you're too old for this or this or that. I believe in follow whatever is your God-given talent. So, also speaking of that, when you go into service, like I said, you might have to start off before it's your major passion and you're completely developing it. You might have to start off with things that you're really good at, and you might not even like them that much. But the fact is that you can make your own money and can train your whole schedule and be dependent. You can't really fire yourself. So that's what you're thinking. So you could, at least when it's you doing your own thing, you don't have to worry about, oh, this person's firing me or something like that. So you really have a lot more control of your money. And then once you get savings and stuff like that, you can start to diversify and balance your money. And like I said, one of the things that helps a lot is turning off the TV and turning off competition. You have to realize that you're a unique person with unique talents and skills. So the first thing, if you want to jump into business or whatever, take time. And the first thing for everything is, which I speak, and that brings back to spirituality, know yourself. So you could, even if you've been doing other stuff for so long, you might have forgotten what you're naturally good at and what you naturally gravitate. It might have been dance, or it might have been like when I was a child, storytelling, a teacher, art, and I love music. And then I'm finding myself in this realm, creating that wave from that realm and curtailing on this realm. Also, don't be concerned about if you pass or fail, or if this business is successful or not. Like I said, I'm probably on my fourth business right now, and that's okay, because each one you have a learning. You have stuff that you learn for, and then once you learn one realm, you can apply that to other realms. You could learn a lot just in sales and speaking. Being like people being effective in sales controls your entire life. You have to, even with your resume and who you are just going for a job, you have to be an effective salesperson, because you're selling yourself to this company and why they should hire you. So that alone. So whatever you do, take yourself out yourself and observe and take heed and be like all the things, the fundamental things you can learn from some. Same thing starting a business. When you're working for a business, look at the things that they have for a real structured business, not like some of these people that say they're a business owner, but they don't even know what a business model is. You have to really like sit down and look at structure. Okay, say I'm a business model, say caregiving services or something like that. There's so many things you could do. Like, people really don't think creatively, and by thinking creatively, that means know yourself. Stop looking at everybody else. So say if you taking care of old people all this time, but blah, you've been a caregiver for someone else, you experience that, so you already know how it's structured. You know, okay, this person needs a TB test. If I'm hiring employees, there has to be a full background check. doing fingerprint scan, blah blah. These are the pricing of this thing. Is this something that I would want my employees to get? Is it something to buy? Oh, this is the stuff. These are different laws I need per state to pass if I were going to open a caregiving place. It's something like I have in my home, but is it wheelchair accessible? Do I have a CNA or a registered RN at least on call if something happens? So all these things are different. But then, like I said, working for someone else, you could take that time to observe and structure and see what they're doing well and see what they're not doing well to improve on that. And then that experience can help you build your own. So you have to be open minded from everything, even at McDonald's. Working at McDonald's, you learn a lot. There's a basic system to why 16-year-olds can do what they go in there, because there is a system that they have in place that's structured. Okay, 8 a.m. wash it, clean the fries, da da da. This is the temperature. This a very structured list, so you can look really on how to build your business, build your brand, and build a solid structure. So that's where we're going with that. But yeah, my major thing was really discovering your why, because again, like I said, it could be a long road before you're extremely successful, or to the point where you don't have to work another job or do something like that. So discover your why, so you could have the patience to let it build, let a true seed grow like a plant, build and grow into something without giving up and listening to like the naysayers or negative. It could be your family, your friends, whoever, that are don't understand the vision. And then, like I said, it could keep you strong in the vision, because like I said, most people don't do this or do it well, so how can they be giving you advice? The average person is working for someone else, and they really don't know all what entails a business and structure. So you don't have to take their advice. Also, you don't have to take it to heart, because they just don't know any better. They haven't done it. Like look and be around people that are doing what you want to do, and do it. They don't. I'm not one for taking it. I mean, you can learn from everything, but I'm not one for taking advice from someone who's not where I want to be or doing what I want to do. A lot of it's criticism, naysayers, and some of it can be. It's not all. I'm not going to just say bad. It's not all negative. Some of it all can have good intentions, but they can't. They can't speak on something. I've talked about this already, that they're not qualified to speak on. Qualified and studying, experience, observing, and at a level like where you at. Same thing, like, okay, a fat person is trying to give me um, direction. Okay, this is how you lose weight. This is what you do. So, I mean, how are you qualified to speak on that, unless you have like a thyroid problem or something that you're not really qualified to talk about? Okay, business, or it's like that's them telling me, oh, you need to stop walking so much. How are you qualified to even speak on that? So, like I said, stop. Don't let other people bother you as much. And then everything is about vibrations. So like attract is like. So you'll realize with most people talk so much about inner strength, but it's really good to have a good environment too, because when you raise your vibrations, you could change your environment. You see, like, a lot of people do that. Don't like I guess don't test yourself. For example, like I said, I don't want to be a cheater, and if I'm in love with someone, I'd rather not cheat on someone. But I'm not gonna put myself in a situation where there's someone fine, and I have the possibility of like cheating on my partner when I have a partner. So the same thing with you. If you see that these people are negative, whether it's family, friends, or whoever, or just people around you, it's okay to remove yourself from that situation without feeling bad about it. Vibrate with people that are same on your frequency and vibration. And again, that's a good thing. Another thing of that multi-level marketing was good when they had kind of like people with the same goal, same mindset. But again, that's something that you can build on your own as well. You can go to meetups, or say if you're in arts and photography or something, go to hubs and places that where that's the culture. So you want to be a part of that culture, and then your frequency, and just that's just the way. Thank God for universal laws, because this is what happens with frequency and vibration. Say if the frequency is up here, you're here. Only way to break, if everyone's here, you're gonna meet there. So you always want to kind of be like probably the least in your group, so you can meet up to their vibration. You don't want to be way up here and your group is down here. The only way that you'll either go apart or you'll sink down. So that's just the way things are. Snoop Dogg even talked about it when it comes to like hip hop and music. So you're either gonna go down or go up. So that was pretty much what I was talking about for today. Just the major thing is um, just let your seed grow and understand your why. They might start off with stuff that you're not per se not might not be your full motivated passion, but like it start off with stuff that you're good at that can make you money, and you see there's a need. Um, Sometimes it might be where it could be a passion, but like I said, I have to kind of weigh with that because sometimes you can grow and develop passion. Passion is like kind of a fickle word because someone can be passionate about something and kind of just horrible at it. So you might be passionate about football, but you're like 4'11". So, you might not be a football player, but maybe you can be a coach. Maybe so, like I said, you have to kind of, with passion, have to think about, you have to think about using what tools you have equipped and approaching it the right way. But it doesn't mean that you won't be great in the football region. You just might not be per se in the field if you're 4'11", and these guys are 6 foot 250 pounds and blah blah blah. But you might be great at strategy and stuff like that. So you have to be really open-minded and look at your talents and stuff that you have. And again, like saying, not saying that you can't develop talents. Learning how to learn was an amazing course I took from Coursera. I think most people should take this because they're approaching learning incorrectly. So she was trained in literature and like philosophy and some other things like that, but she ended up being great at mathematics and engineering. She was horrible at mathematics in school. She failed at math. So that's you can develop passions that you didn't even know you had by going in different realms. So I'm kind of like iffy about the passions, but the first make money, start off with something that you're pretty good at already in that realm and work and learn most about that realm or through your experience that you had already in building contact. Also, the importance of sales and selling yourself. You're selling yourself all day anyway when it comes to like jobs and stuff like that. So don't be afraid to jump and sell yourself when it comes to your business or an idea. Also, another thing that's very important when you're starting off, or maybe if you've been started, but you should be able to be able to articulate your business like you can articulate your name because it's a part of the sale. So whatever you're doing, whatever business you have to, be able to do that. So whether you doing consulting with someone or whoever, there's certain things that you have to learn how to do. And like I said, I recommend, again, it's a longer process than maybe just buying a teacher yourself business thing. But you learn so much while you're building these things, and you really learn how to build things from the ground up. And you're worrying about, and then when you charge, you don't have to charge so cheaply to where you're stressing yourself out, because a lot of people start off charging cheap because they don't have clientele and stuff like that. But this is how you can start off for yourself. Or for me, when I'm doing stuff for free or something like that, it'll be probably in the realms of nonprofit or school or myself. Like if you continually to build and you're building, you're getting your best service once you do it for yourself. So when you charge, you don't have to charge like uh, Bunny the builder, whoever, $5, because like I said, I put people that are cheap. They're kind of like $5. Everybody wants something for free, so you don't have to charge in that realm because you have so much experience and you're confident in that experience, and you could charge at a high price. And then again, it's not even per se about a high price; it's about the value of something. So say I charge $15,000 for consulting per month, but if I make you $100,000 a month as a business, then that 15,000 is not high. Where else would you get those returns? And that's what the people you have to really, when it's the same as sales. What someone needs, you have to make sure you're fulfilling that need and you articulate the value clearly of your service. You really have to articulate the value. Same thing as a logo. I'll talk about the branding of a logo. So if let's say so you guys have to really think of business in a true form. So say you come to me, it's like, okay, you want a logo. What's your price? Logo. It's just not that simple. It's the same thing as like coming to me and be like, okay, I want a house. Okay, well, how many rooms do you want in your house? That would be absurd if you went to a contractor and you just told them, oh, give me a house. Like, how many, so just because there's some places that'll be like, oh, there's a template. I mean, you could have a project complex apartment, everything 1 by 1 room, same basic text, throw something on the back of the room. What kind of forms do you want on this logo? Do you want like true logo development? And like I said, it just depends on what you want a company. True logo development, it needs to look good in black and white. You should be able to stretch. Is it something that I would want on T-shirts? Is it something that I per se would want on newsletters, heading? Do I have a color scheme, or in other words, in a more professional term, do I have a style guide to my business? So what colors do I want for my company and represent my company? What emotions and things do those colors invoke? Like there's so much stuff that you don't know. Same thing like when you have a house, the same emotional things that come in. Well, I want a backyard because I have kids and I want them to be able to play. I don't want it to be in a neighborhood that's too noisy or loud, or not too close street, because I don't want them to go out and get hit, or like or my dog. I want it very safe. I want it close to the school because per se that I go to work and I want my kids to be able to just get on the bus and go to school. Those are things that you should take into context. Same thing with local development. Well, I maybe want to put this on T-shirts and stuff like that, so it just can't be one image. It might have to be illustrator in a vector graphic that can be scoped and stretched. There's something I would want on billboards. Same thing with McDonald's. Like you guys, there's a lot of stuff that people just don't understand. So even McDonald's, the golden arcs, that logo development. So you have that brand, and it's easy for someone to make sense. Be like, okay, why $20,000? Like Coca-Cola might spend they spent 20,000 on their logo, and there are other people, H&R Block. They're because they understand it's the brand. It's the same thing with just like building your house. It's who they are individually, so it represents everything you are as a company just in that one logo. So I think people don't understand the value and the inherent value of that. So again, like I'm saying, does it look good in black and white? Yellow infects and evokes a certain emotion. So there's color theory, that when people see your logo, okay, what color theory, and what the shapes mean emotionally. So logos before logos, and it's again etymology, study words. There's a symbolism in its root form. So logos, that's kind of like your sigil, your symbol of who you are. You look at it and say who you were. So you have the golden arches are a certain symbol. I'm not sure what that means, because that's actually, they kind of took a really old school logo and redid it, and so did Starbucks. They took like an old school mermaid, that was really actually in the cult teachings, but I have to go look it up. That's very old school, that they kind of took that sigil, and that's what has the energy and power in it anyway. But like I said, everything is spiritual. That's what people don't realize when they do things. But yellow invokes happiness. Red invokes hunger. So that's why most food places have yellow and red um, in their logo. So you have the happiness and hunger. Your Taco Bell, the hunger, the red, and invoking that emotion. So there's a lot to think about it. Say if it's a square logo, that's usually for a company that's stable. So uses stability. So like LinkedIn, they have square, and the blue is calm and peace, and stability. H&R Block, prosperity, which is green, and then you have the block for again stability. So there's so much stuff that what do you want in your company? What do you want to evoke? Circle, kind of revolve, evolution. So there's a lot to go into who you are. And like I said, you got the colors, the brands, the shape, and again, the logo is a symbol. Design is a symbol, so that means there is something, a psychology, there's an emotional impact, or something that they see, that sigil, that recognize, okay, I see this in one form, this is what my brand is. And that's really the importance of a logo. So I think a lot of people take things the wrong thing. Same thing like your website. A lot of the brick and mortar things are not here anymore. So you're not complaining about lights, rent, all this stuff, space when you're on your building. Same thing with the website. Like people have to really get this together. You're just putting, some things are in different forms and different media, but it's still the traditional, original way you will do stuff. Who is my audience? Who is my market? Same thing. What color scheme? Do I want the shopping cart? What balance? Do I want this to be easy and accessible on mobile? Am I considering accessibility and realizing that all people, and some people might be hearing impaired, some people might have problems with sight. So are my fonts, are my colors large enough? It's not just about a fancy font. Do I have a style guide? Does this represent who I am as a brand. Like, for example, I'm creative in music agency, so creativity, Focus Vision Design Group. My website, focusvisiondesignGroup.com, is very creative, and it has like part of very who I am. You see creativity. You see like a lot of animations and flash. You'll see the universe, and that's pretty much who I am. You'll see the different things, the different imagery and scenery when it comes to music, and different musicians like the guitar, and and then it has call to action and very simple things where you can get, and then also you have to sign up for the newsletter. So there's a lot of stuff that you should think about when you're going into anything. And I just think a lot of people, even myself included at one time, but I'm on this new slow down kick. I was just talking with a friend today. I'm really on this slow down kick because everybody does stuff so fast. So I just slow down and just do it right. I'm not really in a rush to do anything because I don't want to um, not be fully aware of the experience of it, because time is just a man-made construct. In reality, as a spirit being having a human experience, all you have is different experiences on top of it. So this construct of time is very man-made, is out of alignment. You look at nature, doesn't look at a clock, wake up like a robot is trying to do robots, because the creators of the system have no, I can't even call them creators, the architects of the system have no connection with nature, so they have to have everything robotic because nature just doesn't work that way. Nature is cycles through experiences, and it regenerates and grows through experiences. And the same thing with the universe, the same thing with the law of attraction. So the same thing, you mirror experience of what you have, and then that goes to source energy, gives source energy feedback, and you evolve from there. That's what it is. So it has you really off. So that's what I say, you should, even if it's washing, simple as washing a dish, we're not fully in the experience because the man-made construct has us everywhere else. It has us in the past or in the future when it's nothing but a full experience of here. And I've felt that in several different ways. Another course, even though it's a little bit more expensive, but I do recommend taking this course. The Landmark Forum is really awesome. So they really break down how like everything is a cycle of experiences. So there's times and there's stories you're telling yourself, and like I said, even in my mind, everyone's living somewhere else except the present moment. And it's easy to get that way because, again, by the construct of something called illusionary time, it has you on a 30 days. Okay, this bill dudes it, so it has you living everywhere else. But here, that's why a lot of times I have to do kind of things in advance to cheat the system, because I'm a naturalist. I don't really move on time constructs. I just move how I feel. So I rather, with everything, I rather do yearly or in advance, and then I'll think about it later. Don't stop my flow, because I don't move well like that. Working for other people, I like to get there early and zone and experience. I'm usually, when I make my own schedules, I was someone usually get there at 5 or 6 a.m. So by the time meetings, unnecessary meetings on top of meetings on meetings on by behalf of meetings, I'd be done with majority of my work probably by 9 or 10, so I could do whatever useless shit that they would have me doing, or whatever interruptions, or asking me, it doesn't matter if it's business or the real world. And maybe it's because people need reminders or something. I'm just not there. But asking me the same shit over and over again, that really irks my nerve when I told someone I'm going to do this or I'm working on this, and then they ask me the same question 5,000 fucking times. If I gave you a deadline, if I missed a deadline, then you could harass me, but don't harass me um, before then. That just bothers me. It's just distraction, and it's aggravating. When I'm a task oriented person, so I jump in fully in the task, and most people actually really learn that way by jumping in deep into a subject, and just kind of like I would go in rooms or something where I'm just not bothered, or even that's why I like music in the studio or labs, because or labs, and also what did we used to do in coding? Oh, hackathons. because it'd be like a zone where you get the most work done because no one's bothering you. I go in deep in stuff. Same thing if you're learning a language. You see, the people that learn it the best, they'll go to Spain and go and just submerge themselves in language. And again, I'm a water sign, so I go in deep and submerge, and then come out, and then boom, there we go. And then I'll front load it first, do my heavyweight, and then from near in I'll do like I said, one of the albums I'm working on now, front load most. So anything now, it's just like, oh, maybe we'll do this. Maybe everything is light. I front load stuff because things through my experience in life. There's a lot of things that happen and that are unexpected or whatever. So the best way to do that is to do the majority of the hard work, or the majority of stuff in the beginning, and that brings me like peace of mind because it's just life. You can't really, you could plan to a degree, but there's going to be a lot of other stuff that happens. So I'm a front load type person, so I don't have stuff okay, if the project's almost done and some crazy shit happened, it's not really, I mean, not done, say a project's are almost due and there's like some crazy, it's not really too much of a big deal for me because I front load the hard shit in the beginning, and that's how most people should do stuff. I don't know why a person waits for a hard for last. It's kind of just tricking yourself. You should do that with everything. Same thing with exercising, whatever. Do the hard shit first. I don't. Yeah, that's that's the way to stop procrastinating on the hardest stuff. And then another thing that you'll learn in learning how to learn if you do take the course, or if you don't feel like you don't have time, Pomodoro technique. Do hard shit for 20-25 minutes. Take a break. You'll realize like how much more you'll get done. And same thing with a lot of times we have a lot of mind trickery when we're doing our stuff. So you're learning a new subject. Test yourself first. Test yourself and recall on something, and do practice problems. So like you say, read a chapter, read it fucking once, take a test on it. Okay, then you can get over take a test. Don't read it once, then read it again, because a lot of times you're trickery. So take a test, close the book, recall. See how much you read. You're actually learning a lot more. Recall what you learned, and then take a break, or go hang out with friends, and then go exercise, and go back. That is a lot more effective than people just kind of pushing, or you reading your 6-hour cram session, because your mind doesn't have time to really form synapses and neurons that'll bring it to something strong. So there's a lot of times you'll go to a test or something, like all this stuff, and either you're stressed and your mind doesn't work well in stress. So I don't know why a job interviews and all this deals well under stress. No one does well under stress. That means if someone is doing well and a pressure point, that means they found a focus point in their mind that they weed out all distraction, but they can't do well because your brain doesn't do well in stress. So that means everyone else is around them is stressed out, but they're not. They're focused on finding a solution, and that's how I am, a very solution oriented person. So like at one point I had a problem where I would take on other people's stress, but now I kind of breathe and blah, 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 because like again, I'm solution oriented. So if you're running around crazy, that's not going to get you any answer to anything you're doing, business, money, anything. So I've always had a center on my own because I have strong faith and stuff like that, but the other people around me always haven't had that sensory. But I'm learning and develop, which I'm getting a lot better. Is still just to block out their energy or retransmute their energy to something else, and still in chaos still be focused. That was very difficult. Took me quite a while to get there, but I'm finally, yeah. I'm much better. I can't say perfect because I still like to have a little bit of something that'll bring me at peace with, like, but yeah, I'm definitely 10 times better than I was in blocking out and redirecting energies and still being focused in chaos. But that's how they do well. They're very focused in those forms of chaos, and they're not operating at the level of chaos as the people around. They're singular and they're focused. That's how they can do well. So everyone mind work that way. It's not um, it's not a secret, and it's not hard. It's just focus in having superb linear focus. And like I said, there's several things to aid that. And like I said, for procrastination and stuff like that, that's a really good one. That's a big one. And you don't need to buy a damn Ty Lopez book on that, or anyone how to handle procrastination. Like I said, Pomodoro and hard shit first. Pomodoro chunk hard stuff first. Leave your easy stuff for last. And then if you're coming to find it, okay, like it's taking too long, break it down. But I went everywhere with this, and my main goal was here. Oh yeah, for people, the questions that were confused about their business and stuff like that. Discover your why. There's a certain way. Discover by what you're good at, um, or what you love, or kind of work on that. Study, observe, study from there. If you've been too in the world too long to where it's drowned, um, by everything else you've been doing, working for someone else, or just going with the most of the job. Think about what you were good at naturally as a child and go back and develop and hone that skill. And like I said, if you're in a situation where, okay, you want to have a balance between passion and making money, now think about what you can do really good and really well now without with the least amount of effort, and start that as a business model and work with the business model there, as well as while still developing on what you're good at. So one thing I'll just give myself as an example. Um, Before I went into business and computer science, I was definitely graphic design and art was my main heart. But I'm glad like I said, every experience is different. I did learn a lot from business. But if I would have did it again, I would have took a graphic design like I originally um, decided to do. But now I have to do a lot when it comes to videography. I'm pretty good at logos and 2D um, 2D graphics, working on animation and video now. So that'll take up a lot of time to get to a level, like I said, where I feel comfortable and I have a certain level of mastery. Like I said, I'm just not like everyone else. People will do something, they'll get the basics, they'll get and like I said, it's so bad now. It's not, people are not how they used to be before the internet. I believe, like, people will be 5% good at something and they'll try to go sell it or do something. So I'm not with being 5% or 10% of good at something and not studying and not observing the people that are doing well, and looking at their techniques and learning how to use the tool and stuff like that. Like learning photography, not knowing lens, not knowing camera effects and lighting and desaturation, and just there's just so much. So I'm just not the type of person to get into something and I'll do a little bit and just be like, okay, be 5% great at it, and that's just me personally. Like, everyone is different, but anyway, when speaking of that, so like when you're learning a new subject, I'll go deep in that, and like I'm a visual learner, so I'll do like a lot of YouTube videos and stuff like that. Be like, okay, and then I'm also creative. So what happens to me, everybody's different, but what happens to me when I'm creating a new idea, something pops in my head and I just create it. That's just pretty much how it's always been with art. Okay, I see the CD cover or something of this idea, boom, boom, it pops, and then I just put it on Photoshop or paper or Illustrator or whatever, and that's just how I've always been. I'm not sure of how other people, and yeah, and then and dreams work well for me. But like I said, I usually don't too much lack inspiration lately. If I am lacking, I would say go out in nature and travel. That should definitely work. So like I said, I'm a naturalist person, so it's rare that I really kind of like lack inspiration and stuff like that. But sometimes, if it's that bad, or if you're that's when you just have to take a break and experience like the beauty and how much you'll learn and grow and develop as a break. And again, that's another thing you'll learn if you go through the Learning How to Learn course from Coursera that I recommend. There's two modes of thinking. There's focus mode and there's diffuse. Your connections and your aha moments come from diffuse, and that's when you're doing something completely unrelated to the subject or the task. Like, your brain is always working, so you have to give your subconscious more credit. Is due. It does the grunt work of most of your stuff. We're not saying don't not be on your focus task, but when you're studying and stuff like that, do your focus, take a break, and that does more for you than you think of just like pushing through stuff. Your brain just doesn't work like that. It needs pressure, it needs relax, pressure, relax, pressure, relax. So you have to really apply those principles. So that was a great course to me, and I didn't realize I was, when I studied, I was studying wrong. I'm already good, like I said, with the everyone does something, but I'm definitely submerged, experiencing internal fall distractions. Like I said, 15 minutes of undistracted time can be better than a full day of people like bothering you all the time. So, like I said, it takes about, for me, everyone's different. Some people can context shift incredibly fast, but it might take a little while if I'm in something in a thought and then you context shift me. Now, if I've got to a pause and be like, oh, that's enough of that, let me skip to something else. That's one. But like I said, if I'm in something and I'm creating, especially when I was programming, if I'm solving something, I just don't like to be bothered. But that's it for business. Discover your why, because it could be a long journey. And so you want to make sure you're doing this. Is it something that you're really good at, or you have a true passion, or a true why? Because it's not going to happen like 5 minutes later. So there's no point of putting time and resources to something that you just really, really don't love. And that's why I tell people, stop comparing yourself to other people. Like I said, for me, things will naturally happen. I didn't get in photography because it look, ooh, this person's a photographer, they're making a lot of money doing this. Let me do this. It's something that came just naturally, and I didn't even realize I loved it. It had a lot of peace when I was just taking pictures, and I see stuff in my mind, and that's what it came from. And it come from, I'm looking at Greg, he's making a bunch of money doing this, and like I said, I know the world and I know business. A lot of people are looking at stuff, and again, they're looking at it through a partial lens. It's people that have huge YouTube subscribers, even, or vlogging. So the same thing with me vlogging and this and YouTube vlogging. It was my spiritual purpose to be speaking to people. The fact is that, like, sometimes I'll say something and the spiritual is profound, and instead of just going to a bunch of people, but it's like, oh, let me just do it this one way. Everything, these learnings and this development, while I'm learning them, just let me speak it here. That's what it was. It was not, oh, blah blah blah, it's making $1 million on YouTube, blah blah blah, or whatever. It's like for the spiritual stuff, it's completely spiritual. Like some of my business things, I might charge later on. I'm not sure, but like right now, for the most part, it's free. And the spiritual, unless it's like one-on-one healing, that may be different, but that's always going to be free, because I just feel like in spirituality, the person 13 Son didn't charge me, and made a huge difference in my life. So, like, everything doesn't always have to be charged, but again, it has to be merited. It doesn't mean take advantage of it. It still has to be, and beyond merited, I say fruitful. So, like, I'm a mentor. So, like, probably except for one, everyone that I've mentored has been extremely successful. So, like, it wasn't uh, the rose froze or something. But anyway, everyone I mentored has been extremely successful. So that's about positioning myself for like ripe fruit, and like that was, whoa, more than enough for me. One of my mentees inspired me, and I talk about him all the time. And he was my first one, Richard Bustos. He bought his parents a house, and just thinking that I was a part of that, and the developing to where like his skills to where he can be an engineer and stuff like that. Not even, you know, just from high school, and actually the youngest was the youngest engineer at LinkedIn, was just absolutely amazing, and he brought me into a brand new world and non-profit. So he's my inspiration. He's my I'm inspired by him. So that's called being very fruitful in what you do. So yeah, so whatever you do, make sure it's truly who you are. So yeah, like I said, oh yeah, I was saying I don't jump on anything because of what someone else is doing. It's a natural thing. And my friend who's a singer, me and her were talking about it. Yeah, like we're naturalists, so like we see the difference. People are naturally good at stuff, and people just look at somebody like, oh, this person's doing this, let me jump on this. I don't understand why you do that. Same thing with the YouTube channels, like I was saying, a lot of people, these with 1 million or 100,000 followers, they've been doing this 5, 10 years. Again, that means it's not a whim. It's something they naturally like. How else could they do it 5, 10 years to build a following, or even 5 years? It's not like, oh, I'm looking at Bob, boom, I like this. Like I said, if it's natural, again, I'm not talking shit. If it's natural or something that you generally interested, I'm down with that. But I'm just not down with people looking at somebody else what they're else doing and not realizing, okay, the time you put into it, and then it's obvious you could see the time that people are doing it. People would just master their own talent or stay in their own lane. In other words, like it would just be amazing. Like I said, I've seen amazing dancers. You know, that person should have stayed a dancer and mastered dancing, but they wanted to jump to everything else. So it's just like it is what it is. But like when it don't matter what you jump to, um, it's gonna take time. So you might as well jump where you're good or what is your natural God given talent and build um, from there. So yeah, that's my long spiel on that. All right, 50 minutes. Didn't want to be this long. It was all good though. Peace and blessings.